Well, there are new questions about how U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder could survive the recent scandals that faced the Obama administration, including both the IRS controversy and the reporter snooping case. But this is not, of course, Mr. Holder's first brush with controversy. The Attorney General repeatedly testified on the botched gun-running sting that may have led to the death of a U.S. Border Patrol agent.
When did you first know about the program, officially, I believe, called Fast and Furious? To the best of your knowledge, what date?
I'm not sure the exact date, but I probably heard about Fast and Furious for the first time over the last few weeks.
So you remember all the heat that came to bear in that story. And then the Attorney General also outraged some lawmakers with his initial decision to give the 9/11 co-conspirators a civilian trial. He very much wanted to see them tried in New York.
They will be brought to New York, to answer for their alleged crimes in a courthouse just blocks away from where the Twin Towers once stood.
So he's been battled, and others have come and gone from the administration, but he seems to have a lot of staying power. Jonah Goldberg is the editor-at-large at National Review and a Fox News contributor. Jonah, welcome. Good to have you here this morning.
Great to be here.
You know, there's a very lengthy piece in the Daily Beast this morning, which appears to be Eric Holder's sort of plea to have people understand his side of this story. And I just want to read a little bit of it. It says, Holder knew that justice would be besieged by these twin leak probes. But according to aides, he was also starting to feel a creeping sense of personal remorse. The take in this piece, Jonah, is that now he's looked at this with particular regard to the James Rosen issue and feels that it's not a reflection on who he really is and wants to change the direction here.
Yeah, I've left my world's smallest violin at home. Maybe he's feeling some remorse because it looks increasingly likely that he lied to Congress about not being involved in any investigations or criminal prosecutions along these lines. Then it turns out that he actually signed the indictment for James Rosen, and that he actually his Justice Department went judge shopping, and the idea that he would have forgotten that is beyond implausible. And so, yeah, maybe he sees this as a way to spin. The problem for as you alluded to in the setup piece, is that Eric Holder has been a disastrous Attorney General for a really long time. Not only did he not tell the truth to Congress about Fast and Furious, he was held in contempt of Congress, or he was condemned by Congress, the first time that ever happened to an Attorney General. Almost all of the controversies about the Obama administration, other than the fight over Obamacare and the stimulus, have basically been out of the Justice Department.
But, Jonah, as you go through this piece, you can see the argument that the administration and that Eric Holder, I guess, are developing in this. And they're basically saying, the CIA and Congress were really on our backs, saying that we had to stop all of the leaks that were going on. So the argument is, we allowed this to go forward, and, the James Rosen to be called an aider and an abettor and a co-conspirator, because we were just getting so much pressure from the CIA and Congress to crack down on all of it. Does that hold water with you?
Well, no. Look, I'm a hawk about leak investigations, and I think that leaks should be stopped. I don't think what they did to James Rosen was right, but this is a guy who is constantly preening about how law should trump all things, how the war on terror should go away, that it all should be about lawfare, and we should have, that we should treat criminals as if they're terrorists as if they're just criminals. And all of a sudden, he's basically admitting in this excuse that you're reading about, he's basically admitting that you put a little too much pressure on Eric Holder, and the rule of law goes out the window, and it looks remarkably like a government-orchestrated vendetta against journalists. Yeah. If he's that weak about upholding the proper spirit of the rule of law, and it can be bullied, which is what he's saying, bullied into using the Espionage Act to go after a journalist, then why do we want this guy to be running the Justice Department?
There's also no suggestion in this piece that for him to investigate himself, essentially, presents a conflict of interest. Do you find that to be a sort of glaring omission here?
I think it's bizarre, and I think, though, that Barack Obama deserves an enormous amount of the criticism for this. It was his decision to make Eric Holder the chief cop of his own behavior. That said, look, Eric Holder couldn't abide by the existing guidelines Now he's going to go review to see whether those guidelines are strong enough. It's a very weird argument.
All right. Well, there's also a suggestion that because the president and Eric Holder are that one put forward by the New Yorker, that he's not going anywhere, and that the president is standing by him, and that may very well be the case. So we'll see how it goes as it goes forward. Jonah, thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Great to be here. Thanks.
We have a frightening scene.